Human Bomb number 3, written by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti, art by Jerry Ordway. Last issue, Human Bomb and this telepath lady, who I'm sure has a name, teleported down into an alien base, and then some other alien army came in to fight them. So this just picks up on the fight. He is realized that these things attacking them are not alive, so he's just killing them indiscriminately. And he's just like throwing fireballs and stuff at him. He's like, I'm getting pretty good at this. And then a telepath kicks in named Joan. And she's like, sorry, you're not being nearly as effective as you can be. I'm going to take over your body for a little bit. And she uses her telepathy powers to have him walk into the middle of the crowd and just get mobbed and beaten the crap out of him. And then she's like, okay, well, now's a good time. And she uses his powers to basically blow all of them up at once. And it turns out that he can blow up things that are connected to other things that he's blowing up as like a chain reaction. So he's like, oh, all right, cool. Anyway, let's have a long philosophical debate on whether or not we can or even should save these people who are all genetically modified to be human bombs. And they just try to discern whether or not there's any way that they can do that. And they start talking about like locking down the place so that they can blow it up because they don't want any sort of this like alien goop to get into the water supply. And he's like, well, now hold on. What about the people in here? We could save their lives. And she's like, they might be like 100% in their cells, unable to change. And he's like, oh, well, so you're just going to kill them without even checking? And he's like, well, how are we supposed to check? We're not experts on this. And he's like, you're a telepath. Can't you just find somebody who's qualified and read their mind? And she's like, I didn't think of that. And he's like, okay, cool. So are we going to do that? Sure, why not? So at that point, Michael specifically says, like, you got to save at least the babies, which I feel like is maybe a little bit of political posturing. But regardless, he says, all right. She calls back to Uncle Sam, and Uncle Sam's like, hey, what's going on down there? And he's like, okay, I'm going to let you see what's going on in here. And he's like, oh, wow, yeah, this is all sorts of messed up. I'll contact Neon. And they're just like, I'm sorry, who's Neon? And he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. He's working in the Underverse right now, but we'll go get him. So at that point, basically they're saying, okay, the only way in order to save these people is by sending Neon. He's going to get there ASAP, but it might not be soon enough. So then Joan makes the call. All right, screw it. We're going to make sure they're all dead. And Michael's like, what? I literally just heard you say that we could save these people. He's like, yeah, but that's like a risky plan, and he might not arrive in time. And we got to like get out of here now because there might be more aliens coming. And he just keeps on arguing with her, just saying like, are you insane? You got to listen to me. And she uses her telepathy to just knock him unconscious and say, all right, well, that's that. Everybody load your charges. We're going to kill everybody here. But of course, the alien army does arrive before they're done. And these ones are even tougher looking than before. So she wakes back up, Michael, and says like, all right, I need you to go fight some guys. And he's like, all right, cool. So she switches on all his abilities at once, which I don't remember her saying she switched them off or that she had that ability. But regardless, we just get like 2 straight pages of Michael throwing fireballs and exploding aliens from inside their heads. And as he manages to knock out basically the last of them, it's just like, all right, cool. So then Neon shows up, who as far as I can tell is just like Dr. Manhattan, but more of a robot. And he's just like, oh, how can I help? I have all the information I need. And he steps around and he analyzes them and says, yes, I should be able to cure them. I can undo their human bomminess, and it will take me like just over 3 days. And they're like, all right, cool. So we've kept this place secure. Transport us to a secure location. And they take along one alien prisoner that Joan sometime later has said, all right, I'm going to read its mind and see if I can figure out anything else about it. That being said, it's alien. I don't know if it's going to work. But she reads its mind and finds out that there's another town, an entire town, that is nothing but human bombs. And they're like, okay, well, we got to go to that town and shut it down. So immediately they're just making their way outside the town. Everyone's just walking around like zombies. Nobody's really noticing them because, again, of a little manipulation on her part with telepathy. And they point out the big satellite dish, and they're like, that's going to contact the aliens. We got to stop it before it does. And then it immediately fires off a space laser. And it's like, oh no, we're too late. So a bunch of people start coming out of the building. They start throwing bombs at them in order to shut them down. And it's like, okay, apparently blowing up the building is not enough to stop this thing. The real nest must be underground. start bombing our way underground, human bomb. And so he makes a hole that they jump down into. They find even more of those like pods where people were kept, but this time they're all empty. And Michael hears like a weird humming sound that Joan is unable to, but he doesn't think much of it as they make their way to what seems to be the egg room from Alien. And he's just like, well, I know what to do here. And he throws a bomb in, it blows up, and then every single human in the town spontaneously explodes. And Michael's like, did I do that? So they're about to try to escape the base. The entire base seemingly is coming to life. It's powering up, and they get wrapped up in a teleportation grid that teleports them onto a moon of Jupiter where all of these aliens and their central base of operations are. And that's where that ends. Have you ever tried to get like a 3-year-old to tell you a cohesive story of like high narrative of like come up with a story, and the 3-year-old just kept on saying like, and then this happened, and then this happened. It reminds me of, I think it was Axe Cop was told in like a similar way where it's like, we're just going to keep doing this and then this and then this and then this other thing. And it's just kind of like you forget earlier plot beats with later ones, and then those later ones just keep growing in size, and they have very little setup, and then it's like, and then a dragon shows up, and it's like, oh, okay. This feels like that. It feels like this story began with like a political intrigue thing of like, oh no, some sort of secret organization has turned these people into homegrown terrorists, and they're called Crown. And now we've evolved to they're on the moon of Jupiter, and it's all aliens. Yep. I mean, might as well, right? I mean, I don't even know how to define like a story like that. It's bold. It's doing something. It's not boring, I'll give it that, but like it barely feels cohesive. So I'm just gonna say, and art-wise, it's fine. It feels kind of house style. It's nothing too great. It's not too bad. It's just there. So I gotta give it like, I'm gonna give it like a 5.5. And it really is just, I feel like they had a 12-issue mini in mind, even though they knew they were only going to get 4. And they're just throwing everything to see, like, does any of this work without actually filtering it all out. So, yeah, 5.5. Hopefully it can stick the landing, but ugh.